The stars were bright that night, scattered like diamonds across the endless black sky. On Terran Station Alpha, the largest human outpost near the edge of known space, the hum of engines and the chatter of crews filled the air. Life in the colonies had always been busy but peaceful. Humans had expanded far into space, building settlements and trading with neighboring systems. For many, the galaxy seemed vast enough that nothing could reach them, especially not the Galactic Empire. Commander Elias Ward leaned back in his chair on the bridge, watching the familiar patterns of the star lanes. He had spent 30 years in the Terran Space Command, seeing countless skirmishes with pirates and smugglers. But nothing had ever prepared him for the warning that would arrive that evening. The screen in front of him flickered as an urgent message from an unknown sender appeared. The emblem was unfamiliar, a sharp, angular crest that shimmered with authority. Terran authorities, the message began. You are warned. Stay away from the outer sector. The Galactic Empire does not tolerate intrusion. Any further advancement into these regions will be met with immediate retaliation. Elias frowned. The outer sector had always been on the edge of human space. The Empire had always been considered distant, a legend whispered about in military briefings. Humans had mapped some of its borders, but direct contact was rare. The warning was clear, but it sounded almost distant, like a voice carried on the wind. Lieutenant Mira-chan, his second-in-command, approached his chair. Her expression was serious. Commander, it's the Empire. This isn't a pirate warning or a smug message from a rogue system. They are serious. Elias shook his head slowly. I know, Mira, but look at it. The closest Imperial fleet is hundreds of light years away. They can't possibly. He hesitated. They can't possibly come here. Not in force. Myra's eyes narrowed. We don't know that. If this is just the beginning, they might already be moving. Elias leaned forward, studying the message. Something about it didn't feel right. The words were polite, almost too calm, but the weight behind them was terrifying. The Galactic Empire was never polite. When they spoke, it was usually after conquest. The night on the station continued as usual, with crews performing routine checks and freighters unloading cargo. But beneath the calm surface, tension spread quietly among the officers. Rumors traveled faster than facts, and fear is a contagious thing. At 0200 hours, a signal pinged from the far edge of the station's radar. A small scout ship, barely bigger than a human shuttle, reported movement in uncharted space beyond the outer colonies. This message was clipped and urgent. Commander Ward, this is Scout Vessel Orion. I'm picking up a massive fleet, unknown origin, approaching Terran space. Sensors indicate dozens of capital ships, each larger than anything in our records. They are moving fast. Recommend immediate action. Elias's heart skipped a beat. Do you know who they are? He asked, though he already feared the answer. Orion's pilot responded quickly, voice tense. Impossible to confirm visually, sir. But I've never seen technology like this. It's Imperial. The room went silent. Mira gripped the edge of the console. Imperial. That's the Galactic Empire. Elias's mind raced. For decades, the Empire had remained distant, their power a story in old Terran history books. They had conquered systems beyond human reach, controlling alien races and vast territories. Humans had always believed the Empire was too far away to be a real threat. But now there was proof. They were coming. And it wasn't just a few ships. It was a fleet, a war fleet. The bridge was a flurry of activity. Orders were given to raise shields and prepare the defense grid. The crew moved quickly, checking weapon systems and communication channels. Every officer knew that this might be humanity's first true test against a superior force. Elias walked over to the large holographic display showing a map of Terran space. Red blips appeared along the edge of human territory, scouting reports indicating movement, speed, and formation. The Empire was advancing steadily, like a dark wave rolling across the stars. Mira pointed at the display. Commander, they're coming in from 3 directions. If they coordinate, we won't be able to hold the outer colonies for more than a few hours. Elias clenched his fists. We'll have to make them pay for every mile, every inch of human space. We might be outnumbered, but we're not weak." The words were meant to steady him, but even he felt the chill of fear creeping in. Human ships were fast and agile, but the Empire's vessels were huge, armed with weapons that could destroy entire colonies in minutes. Direct confrontation would be suicide. Humans would have to be clever. They would have to fight with their minds, not just their guns. Meanwhile, the news of the Empire's approach spread across the colonies. Families gathered in shelters, workers paused in the streets, and governors held emergency meetings. Terran citizens had always been confident, believing the Empire was too far away to matter. Now that confidence was gone. Anxiety replaced routine. In a secure room on Terran Station Alpha, scientists worked frantically on analyzing the Empire's technology. Dr. Cale Rivers, a brilliant but eccentric engineer, examined sensor data streaming in from the scouts. His eyes widened as he spoke to Elias over the communicator. "Commander, I've never seen energy readings like this. Their weapons, their engines. It's all beyond our calculations. But wait, there's something unusual. A small irregularity in their shield pattern. It's minor, almost invisible, but it might be exploitable." Elias felt a spark of hope. Even in the face of overwhelming force, humans might have a chance if they were clever. "Prepare a detailed report, Dr. Rivers. We'll need every advantage we can get," he said. As night fell on the outer colonies, the fleet of the Galactic Empire drew closer. Scout ships reported movements, formations, and signals, each message adding to the growing sense of dread. On Terran Station Alpha, humans worked tirelessly, preparing for a confrontation that would test their courage, intelligence, and unity. But in the darkness of space, the Empire remained calm and unyielding. Their ships glided silently through the void, massive engines glowing faintly, their intentions clear. They were crossing into human space, despite warnings, despite protests. Humanity's time of peace was ending, and the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. Elias looked out at the endless expanse of blackness, dotted with distant suns. He thought about the colonies, the families, and the people depending on him. "They were told to stay away," he whispered. "And yet, here they come. We'll need more than courage. We'll need every ounce of our strength and our wit. Humanity will not bow." In that moment, a quiet determination settled over him and his crew. Fear was there, yes, but fear could be controlled, could sharpen minds and steel hearts. The Galactic Empire might be vast, powerful, and merciless, but humans were unpredictable, clever, resilient, and the first move was now in their hands. The early glow of Terran morning bathed the colonies in soft light, but the calm was deceptive. On the bridge of Terran Station Alpha, alarms blared, and red warning lights flickered across the panels. Commander Elias Ward paced, his eyes fixed on the screen showing the approaching fleet. The Galactic Empire had crossed into human space. Their ships were enormous, gleaming with dark metal, each bristling with weapons. Hundreds of smaller crafts darted around them, like swarming hornets protecting a hive. Lieutenant Mira Chen's fingers flew across the console. "Commander, sensors confirm multiple capital ships are now within firing range. They are huge, Elias. One shot from those weapons and a colony could be wiped out." Elias took a deep breath, trying to steady his racing heart. He had trained for crises, but this was unlike anything he had ever faced. "All stations, prepare for immediate communication. Attempt peaceful contact. We do not fire unless provoked." The communication officer, a young ensign named Tori, tapped the console nervously. "Sending hailing frequency now, Commander." A cold, mechanical voice crackled over the speakers, translated from the Galactic Empire's language into Terran Standard. "This is the Galactic Empire. You have violated the borders of the outer sector. Withdraw immediately. Further encroachment will be met with destruction." Elias's jaw tightened. "We warned them," Mira said, her voice grim. "They've made the choice to enter human space anyway." Before Elias could respond, a sudden tremor shook the station. The floor rattled as a massive Imperial scout drone fired a warning volley near the outskirts of the station. It didn't hit directly but sent debris flying into space. Crew members ducked as panels sparked. "That was a warning shot," Tori muttered. "They're testing us. And they are not holding back." Elias's mind raced. Humans were outnumbered and outgunned. But he knew one truth. Human ingenuity could not be measured by numbers alone. "Shields up," he ordered. "Engage defense protocols. All fighter wings, move to intercept any approaching drones." The station shuddered as smaller Imperial ships began moving in precise formations. They were not careless. Every movement, every attack was calculated. The humans' agile fighters zipped out, weaving around the massive Imperial vessels, their energy weapons flashing in the cold light of space. From the observation deck, Elias watched the battle unfold. Human ships were smaller and faster, darting like shadows among the massive Imperial crafts. But each hit from the Empire's weapons left scars on the human ships, tearing through hulls and shields alike. Suddenly, a scout ship transmitted a message. "Commander, this is Orion. I think we've found something." "What is it?" Elias asked, his voice tense. "There's a pattern in their shield technology. Subtle, almost imperceptible. But if we target the right points, we might be able to pierce their defenses." Elias felt a spark of hope. "Good work, Orion. Relay coordinates to all fighter wings. Focus fire on those weak points." The small Terran fleet adjusted its strategy, concentrating attacks on the Empire's shield vulnerabilities. For a moment, it seemed like humans might turn the tide. Imperial drones exploded in bursts of fire and metal, while human fighters dodged and weaved with skillful precision. But the Empire was relentless. A massive cruiser fired a sweeping energy blast, cutting through several Terran ships. The fleet faltered, and human pilots braced for impact. Myra's voice came through the communicator. "We can't hold them for long, Commander. They're too strong, too many. We need another plan, fast." Elias clenched his fists. Fear gnawed at him, but he forced himself to focus. "We will use our speed and agility. Hit and run. Don't let them corner us. We've beaten impossible odds before. We can do it again." In the midst of chaos, Dr. Cale Rivers appeared on the bridge, his hair messy and eyes wild with excitement. "Commander, I've been analyzing their energy fields. There's more. The shields are strong, yes, but their systems, they are interconnected. One well-placed strike could cascade through their network." Elias's eyes narrowed. "You mean if we hit one weak point, it could bring down the whole ship?" Cale nodded. "Exactly, but it's risky. We'd need to get close, inside the Empire's defensive range. Only a small strike team could do it." Mira glanced at Elias. "We're running out of time. They've already broken through outer defenses. Colonies could be hit within hours." Elias knew she was right. Every minute they hesitated, humans' chances diminished. "Prepare a strike team," he said. "Small ships, high speed, hit the weak points. If we can cripple even one capital ship, it could slow their advance and buy time for the colonies." The strike team assembled quickly, led by Captain Jaron Holt, a young but brilliant pilot known for daring missions. His team of 5 ships sped off into the dark, heading straight toward the nearest Imperial cruiser. As the strike team approached, the tension on Terran Station Alpha was unbearable. All eyes were glued to the screens, tracking the small human ships as they wove through the enemy fleet. Imperial sensors detected them immediately, and warning fire rained down. The fighters dodged with precision, barely escaping destruction. "Steady," Jaron whispered to his team over the comms. "Remember the weak points. Focus fire, and trust your instincts." The first shots hit the shields. Sparks flew across the cruiser's surface, and for a brief, glorious moment, it seemed like the impossible was happening. A section of the shield flickered, then collapsed entirely. The strike team fired in unison, targeting the core systems. The Imperial cruiser staggered, its engines faltering as alarms blared across its decks. Back on Terran Station Alpha, cheers erupted. The human fighters had done the unimaginable. They had damaged a ship of the Galactic Empire. But the victory was short-lived. The Empire responded swiftly, sending reinforcements to protect the damaged cruiser. The human strike team was now deep within enemy territory, and any mistake could mean total annihilation. Elias leaned over the console, sweat on his brow. "They are powerful, but they are not invincible," he said. "We've seen their weakness. We just need to be smart, fast, and bold." Mira placed a hand on his shoulder. "Commander, this is only the beginning. They've crossed our space. They'll test us at every turn. But if humans can do this, then maybe we have a chance." Outside the station, the Imperial fleet continued its advance, massive and terrifying. The sky above the colonies was filled with the glow of engines and energy weapons. Humans had won a small victory, but the battle for survival had only begun. Elias looked at the stars, thinking about the future. Humanity was up against a force greater than anything they had faced, but fear would not stop them. Cleverness, courage, and determination would. And for the first time, he allowed himself to hope. The Galactic Empire might be vast, but humans were unpredictable. And unpredictability was a weapon no empire could fully calculate. The human colonies were quiet, but not peaceful. The skies above still glowed with the distant light of the Imperial fleet, and the tension among the population was thick enough to cut with a knife. On Terran Station Alpha, Commander Elias Ward gathered his senior officers in the war room. Maps of the galaxy, fleet positions, and sensor readings covered the holographic table in front of them. Elias's gaze swept across the room. "They've tested us," he said quietly. "We know they are strong. Their weapons can destroy entire colonies. Their ships are massive, fast, and well-protected. If we confront them directly, we'll be annihilated." Mira Chun leaned forward, her fingers tracing the holographic lines of the Imperial formation. "Then we don't confront them directly. We fight smart. We use speed, knowledge, and surprise. That's the only way." Elias nodded slowly. "Agreed. But we'll need a plan that can give us an advantage. Something bold. Something unexpected. The Empire does not expect humans to take risks like this." Dr. Cale Rivers, still brimming with excitement from the earlier engagement, stepped forward. "Commander, the data from our last strike shows a pattern in their shield networks. If we target the right points, one small attack could create a cascade, damaging multiple systems at once." Elias's eyes lit up. "That's exactly the kind of edge we need. But it's risky. Only a small, fast team could get close enough to strike. If they fail, they'll be destroyed instantly." From the back of the room, Captain Jaren Holt, leader of the strike team, spoke up. "We've done impossible before. Small teams, fast ships, careful planning. Give us the target, and we'll find a way." Elias studied the young pilot. Jaren was bold, fearless, and precise, exactly the kind of leader the mission needed. "Good. You'll lead a strike team again. But this time we hit deeper. We aim for their command ships, their central network. If we succeed, it will slow their fleet, give our colonies time to fortify, and maybe, just maybe, change the course of this battle." Myra's voice was sharp. "Commander, the Empire will expect humans to fight defensively. They won't expect us to strike directly at their command structure. That's our advantage." Elias nodded. "Exactly. But everyone must understand this is dangerous. We have one chance. One mistake, and it's over." Meanwhile, in the colonies, civilians and workers were evacuating key zones, preparing shelters, and reinforcing defensive structures. The Terran Space Command broadcasted comm instructions, but underneath the careful words, everyone could sense the urgency. The Empire was no longer a distant threat. It was here, at their doorstep. Back at Terran Station Alpha, the war room buzzed with activity. Engineers and tacticians worked together to simulate the strike mission. Holographic projections of Imperial ships displayed shield patterns, weapon arcs, and flight paths. Every possible scenario was considered, calculated, and tested. Dr. Rivers pointed to a series of faint lines running along the hull of a command ship. "These are their weak points. If the strike team can reach them, even for a short time, they can overload the shield network and disrupt communications. But timing has to be perfect. Too early or too late, and it fails. Jaren studied the projection, his brow furrowed. We'll need precise coordination, fast ships, and absolute trust. Each pilot must know their role down to the second. Mistakes are not an option. Elias looked at the team assembled before him. This mission is not just about destruction. It's about survival. Every human life depends on our success. Are you ready? A chorus of voices answered, firm and unwavering. Ready, Commander. The preparations were meticulous. Ships were loaded, engines calibrated, weapon systems tested. Every pilot ran simulations, memorizing the positions of enemy ships and the path to the weak points. Fear lingered, but it was controlled, sharpening focus rather than dulling it. Finally, the moment arrived. The strike team's ships moved silently into space, weaving between asteroid fields and debris to avoid detection. Terran Station Alpha monitored every movement, sending real-time updates as the team approached the Imperial formation. Jaren's voice came through the comms, calm but determined. All units, maintain formation. Remember the plan. Keep sharp, keep fast. We're going in. The Imperial fleet was vast, its ships larger than any humans had ever faced. The smaller strike ships looked tiny, almost insignificant against the colossal vessels. But size was not strength. Speed, intelligence, and precision were human weapons, and Jaren knew how to use them. As they approached, alarms flared on Imperial sensors. The fleet detected the incoming ships, and energy blasts streaked across space. The human pilots dodged, diving and weaving with skill, narrowly avoiding destruction. Every movement had to be perfect. Every decision flawless. Jaren targeted the first weak point, firing a coordinated volley. Sparks flew across the Imperial ship's shields. For a moment, it seemed unbreakable. Then, with a sudden cascade, the shields flickered and failed. Communications scrambled, and alarms blared across the enemy decks. On Terran Station Alpha, the crew cheered silently. They did it, Mira whispered, eyes wide with excitement. But the battle was far from over. The Empire reacted immediately, sending reinforcements to counter the strike. The small human ships were now deep inside enemy territory, surrounded by massive vessels and deadly weapons. One wrong move could end everything. Jaren's team pressed on, striking additional weak points, disabling critical systems, and dodging relentless attacks. The strategy was working, but the cost was high. Ships were damaged, and some pilots narrowly escaped destruction. Every maneuver tested their skill and nerves. Elias watched from the station, tension high. Keep them alive, he murmured. Every ship matters. Finally, after hours of careful strikes, the mission achieved its goal. The Imperial Command ship systems were crippled, its fleet slowed, and human colonies gained precious hours to prepare defenses. The strike team, battered but alive, returned to Terran Station Alpha as heroes. Mira exhaled, relief washing over her. They did it. Against impossible odds. They did it. Elias nodded, pride and worry mixing in his expression. This is only the beginning. The Empire is still vast, still dangerous. But we've shown them humans are clever, determined, and unpredictable. And unpredictability is our greatest weapon. Dr. Rivers smiled faintly. We now know their weaknesses. Next time we can strike again. Smarter, faster, stronger. As the sun set on the colonies, casting long shadows across the surface, humanity's resolve hardened. The Empire had crossed into human space, but they had met resistance they had not expected. The coming battles would be fierce, but humans had proven one undeniable truth. They would fight, no matter the odds. And in the quiet of the war room, Commander Elias Ward made a promise. We will protect every colony. We will defend every life. And we will not bow to anyone, not even the Galactic Empire. The stars above the human colonies twinkled, silent witnesses to a galaxy on the brink of war. But humans were ready, and the Empire would soon learn just how dangerous unpredictability could be. The void of space was filled with movement and fire. The Imperial fleet had regrouped after the humans' daring strike, but its confidence was shaken. On Terran Station Alpha, alarms echoed through the halls, but the mood had shifted. Fear was still present, but pride and determination burned brighter. Humans had struck a blow against the unstoppable Galactic Empire, and now it was time to push back. Commander Elias Ward watched the holographic displays of the battlefield. Red markers indicated Imperial ships, blue markers indicated human fleets. The scale of the engagement was massive. Humans were outnumbered vastly, but they had momentum. They had knowledge, and that knowledge was power. Mirachan turned to Elias, her voice tense. "Commander, the colonies are counting on us. If we can't hold the fleet at bay, they'll fall. But if we strike now, we could cripple the enemy further." Elias nodded slowly. "We don't have the numbers for a direct confrontation, but we have speed, precision, and cunning. That's our edge. Let's use it." In the human fleet, fighter pilots adjusted their formations. Ships darted through the shadows of asteroids, weaving around debris to avoid detection. They were small, agile, and fast, perfect for the guerrilla-style attacks humans had learned to rely on. Captain Jaron Holt led the first squadron, his eyes sharp and calculating. All wings maintain tight formation. Target weak points identified in our last strike. Every hit counts. Stay fast. Stay alive. The first clash came without warning. Imperial drones surged forward like a swarm of metal locusts. Energy beams cut through the dark, striking human ships. Sparks flew as shields flared. Several fighters were hit, their hulls screaming under the pressure. But the humans did not falter. They twisted, darted, and returned fire with deadly accuracy. From the bridge of the largest human cruiser, Elias observed the fight unfold. "They're holding their own," he muttered. "Faster, smarter, and unpredictable. This is exactly what we needed." Meanwhile, Dr. Cale Rivers monitored the enemy systems remotely. "Commander, I've detected a vulnerability in their network. Their ships are connected. One breach could cascade through multiple vessels. But timing is critical. If we hit too early or too late, it won't work." Elias clenched his fists. "Then we make it count. Signal Jaron, coordinate the strike." Jaron's team adjusted their course, weaving past enemy fire with near-perfect timing. Small fighter squads targeted specific nodes on the Imperial ships. Sparks and explosions lit the darkness as energy systems failed one by one. The human pilots moved like shadows, disappearing and reappearing, striking with precision. Imperial commanders were quick to react. Massive cruisers fired sweeping energy blasts, tearing through space and obliterating several human ships. But the humans' agility allowed most to evade destruction. Every engagement was tense, every maneuver life or death. Back at Terran Station Alpha, Myra's eyes tracked a particular cluster of Imperial ships. "Commander, the strike team has reached the weak points. They're inside the enemy formation. This is it." Jaron's voice came over the comms, steady and focused. "All units, engage critical nodes. Focus fire. Remember your training. Strike fast, retreat faster." The effect was immediate. Imperial shields flickered and collapsed, communications jammed, and engines faltered. The massive fleet wavered, unsure of its next move. Human pilots pressed the advantage, darting in to disrupt formations, forcing the Empire to split its attention across multiple threats. But victory was not without cost. Human ships were damaged, some destroyed. Pilots who had fought bravely fell in the chaos. Each loss weighed heavily on the crew of Terran Station Alpha. Elias's jaw tightened as he watched the brave pilots give everything for humanity. "Hold the line," he whispered. "Every life counts. Every second we delay them protects the colonies." The battle raged for hours. Human ingenuity and quick thinking turned what seemed like an impossible fight into a stalemate. Every Imperial attack was met with clever counters, ambushes, and unexpected strikes. For the first time, the Empire faced an enemy it could not easily predict. Amid the chaos, a young pilot named Rena Voss maneuvered her fighter close to a massive Imperial cruiser. She targeted a shield node and fired with pinpoint accuracy. Sparks erupted across the ship's hull. Alarms screamed across the enemy fleet. Rena's ship twisted sharply, narrowly avoiding a return volley that would have destroyed her instantly. "Nice work, Rena," Jaren shouted over the comms. "Keep moving. Don't stop." Elsewhere, human engineers worked furiously to repair damaged ships mid-battle. Automated drones repaired hull breaches while crew members recalibrated weapons. Every second counted. Every repaired system was another chance for survival. Elias paced the bridge, watching the holographic battle unfold. "They're making progress," he said, a hint of pride in his voice. "We're not just surviving, we're fighting back." Then, a new report came in. Imperial reinforcements had arrived, larger ships, heavily armed and ready to overwhelm the human fleet. Myra's face paled. "Commander, more of them, and they're faster than we expected." Elias's expression hardened. "Then we adapt. The fight isn't over. Use the asteroids, the debris. Keep them guessing. We have speed, cunning, and determination on our side. Humanity will not fall quietly." The human fleet pressed the advantage, using hit-and-run tactics to frustrate the enemy. Imperial ships, powerful but less flexible, struggled to respond. Every small human victory slowed the Empire's advance. Every clever maneuver saved lives and bought time for the outer colonies to reinforce defenses. Hours later, the battle reached a tense pause. Both fleets were battered and weary. Imperial ships had suffered significant damage, their formation disrupted. Human losses were heavy, but the colonies were still standing. The skies above them were scorched and smoking, a testament to the fierce battle that had just unfolded. Elias looked at the holomap, thinking ahead. "This is only the beginning," he said quietly. "We've slowed them, yes, but the Empire will return. They will come stronger, faster, and more ruthless. But now they know humans do not bow. They underestimate us at their peril." Mira nodded. "They'll be back. But we're ready. Every pilot, every ship, every mind. We've learned today that humans are clever, determined, and fearless." Elias allowed himself a small, grim smile. "And unpredictability. That is a weapon no empire can control." The stars above the human colonies shimmered silently, indifferent to the chaos below. Yet the human fleet, battered but unbroken, drifted among them. They had faced the Galactic Empire and they had survived. And in surviving, they had sent a message. Humanity was not just another species to conquer. They were a force to be reckoned with. The battle had begun. The smoke of battle still lingered in the void of space. Human ships, battered but unbroken, floated among debris from the Imperial fleet. Terran Station Alpha had sustained minor damage, but the human colonies were intact. For the first time, there was hope, real hope, that humanity could not only survive but fight back against the seemingly unstoppable Galactic Empire. Commander Elias Ward paced the bridge, his eyes sharp. "We've slowed them," he said. "But the Empire is far from defeated. We need a bold move, something that will change the course of this war." Lieutenant Mira Chun leaned over the holographic map. "We know their weak points now. Their command ship is vulnerable. If we strike it, even a partial victory could force them to retreat, or at least slow them significantly." Dr. Cale Rivers, his hair messy and eyes bright, added, "I've analyzed their network. Their ships rely heavily on a central system. One precise strike could cascade through the fleet, causing confusion and delay. But it's dangerous. Deep inside enemy lines, near their most heavily armed ships." Elias's jaw tightened. "Dangerous, yes, but sometimes that's exactly what we need. Captain Jaren Holt, are your strike teams ready?" Jaren's eyes gleamed with determination. "Ready, Commander. We've been waiting for this. One shot, one perfect strike, and we can change everything. We just need coordination, speed, and a little luck." The plan was daring. A small human fleet would infiltrate the heart of the Imperial formation, striking the command ship directly. Smaller teams would attack the flanks, drawing enemy attention, while the main force aimed for the critical nodes that could cascade system failures across the fleet. Mira pointed at the holographic display. Timing is everything. We have a window of minutes to hit the critical points before they stabilize their shields and reinforce defenses. 1 second too late and it's over. Elias nodded. Then we move now. All ships, prepare for coordinated strike. Every pilot must follow the plan exactly. The human ships accelerated, weaving through asteroid fields and debris to avoid detection. The Imperial fleet, though large, was not yet expecting another human attack so soon after the previous battle. Speed and surprise were their allies. Captain Jaron Holt's squadron led the charge. His small, nimble ships darted between massive Imperial cruisers, dodging energy blasts with near-perfect precision. Focus fire on the weak points, he instructed. Do not stray. One mistake and we're done. The first volley struck the Imperial command ship's shields. Sparks erupted, sensors flared, and alarms screamed across the decks. The human pilots pressed the attack, hitting multiple nodes in perfect coordination. For a moment, the impossible seemed possible. The shield cascade had begun. Back on Terran Station Alpha, Elias and Mira watched in tense silence. It's happening, Mira whispered. The nodes are failing. Communications are down. Their fleet is in chaos. But the Empire was not defeated yet. Reinforcements arrived, larger cruisers, heavily armed and fast. Energy beams tore through the darkness, obliterating human ships in spectacular flashes of fire. Each strike was deadly, and the human pilots felt the pressure of their mortality. Jaron's team pressed on. We've come too far to stop now, he said over the comms. Keep moving. Keep striking. One by one, the critical nodes failed. Systems across the Imperial fleet faltered. Engines glitched, weapons misfired, and communication networks scrambled. Confusion spread like wildfire. The massive ships, which had seemed unstoppable moments ago, now staggered under the unexpected assault. Meanwhile, smaller human teams targeted flanking units, keeping them occupied and unable to respond effectively to the main strike. Tactical genius, speed, and sheer bravery combined into an unstoppable force. Humans had turned their weakness, smaller numbers, into an advantage. Elias allowed himself a brief smile. They underestimated us, he said quietly. They thought humans would be predictable. They were wrong. But the victory was not complete. One Imperial cruiser, larger and faster than any human ship, broke through the outer perimeter and advanced toward the colonies. Myra's eyes widened. Commander, it's heading straight for the colonies. If it reaches them, it could destroy everything. Elias clenched his fists. Then we make a final move. Jaron, intercept. Everyone else, hold position and continue pressure. We need that cruiser stopped at all costs. Jaron's squadron accelerated, weaving through enemy fire like shadows. The cruiser fired relentlessly, but the human pilots used every trick in their arsenal. Sudden turns, decoys, and synchronized volleys. The cruiser's shields flickered under coordinated fire, and for a brief moment, it faltered. Rena Voss, one of the youngest pilots, fired a precise shot at a critical engine node. Sparks and fire erupted as the massive cruiser slowed, struggling to maintain control. The human fleet pressed the advantage, targeting weapons systems and communication hubs. Finally, with a series of coordinated strikes, the cruiser was disabled. Engines failed, weapons went offline, and the massive ship drifted helplessly. Humans had not only defended the colonies but had dealt a significant blow to the Empire. On Terran Station Alpha, cheers erupted. Mira smiled, tears in her eyes. We did it. We really did it. Elias's voice was firm but proud. This is only the beginning. The Empire is vast, and they will return. But today, humanity has shown them we will fight. We will not yield. We are clever, brave, and unpredictable. Dr. Rivers leaned over the console. Commander, the data we collected from this engagement is invaluable. We know their weaknesses. We can strike again, smarter, faster, and more effectively. This is our moment to turn the tide. Elias nodded. Yes, But we also prepare for their retaliation. They'll come back stronger. We must be ready always. As night fell on the colonies, humans celebrated quietly. Families, workers, and soldiers all knew the cost of this victory, but they also understood its importance. Humanity had faced the Galactic Empire and survived, not by luck, but by courage, intelligence, and unity. In the quiet of his office, Elias stared at the stars. "They will be back," he whispered to himself. "The Empire never forgets. But next time we will be ready, and they will learn what it means to face humanity." Somewhere in the galaxy, the Imperial commanders regrouped, unaware of the full extent of human ingenuity and unpredictability. They had underestimated humans once. They would not make that mistake again. But humans had changed the rules of engagement. They had proven that cleverness, courage, and adaptability could overcome overwhelming force. And the tide had begun to turn. The galaxy was watching, and humanity was no longer afraid. The galaxy was quiet. For the first time in weeks, humans could breathe without the constant roar of battle overhead. Terran colonies had survived the Imperial assault, battered but intact. On Terran Station Alpha, the crew moved through corridors filled with relief, exhaustion, and cautious optimism. Commander Elias Ward stood on the observation deck, watching the stars. The black expanse of space stretched endlessly, dotted with distant suns and drifting wreckage from the battle. Human ships, some damaged and smoking, returned to the station. The cost had been high, but survival and victory had been achieved. Lieutenant Mira Chun approached him quietly. "Commander, the colonies are secure for now. The Imperial fleet has retreated. They've lost a command ship and several cruisers. For the first time, we've made them hesitate." Elias nodded, though worry lingered in his eyes. "Hesitate, yes, but they won't stay away for long. The Empire never forgets, and they rarely forgive." Dr. Cale Rivers joined them, carrying a datapad filled with sensor readings. "Commander, we've collected more data than I ever imagined. Their technology, their fleet coordination, their communication systems, it's all vulnerable if used correctly. Humans have a chance. Not just to survive, but to fight smart, to fight effectively." Elias allowed himself a small smile. "That's what we've been waiting for. Not just raw strength, but strategy, courage, and cleverness. Humanity is unpredictable, and the Empire is learning that the hard way." In the colonies, repairs began immediately. Dockyards worked day and night to restore damaged ships. Engineers rebuilt buildings and fortifications. Families returned to their homes cautiously, still wary of any lingering threats. But there was a sense of pride, a quiet satisfaction that humanity had stood against the mightiest force in known space and had survived. Captain Jaron Holt walked the station deck, checking on his pilots. Their faces were tired, bruised by exhaustion and loss, but their spirits were high. "You've all done something incredible," he said. "The Empire thought they could intimidate us, overwhelm us, make us bow. And yet here we are, still standing, still fighting. That's something no amount of firepower can take from us." Rena Voss, young but fierce, approached Jaron. "Do you think they'll come back?" Jaron's eyes hardened. "Of course they will. They always do. But we're ready. Every ship, every pilot, every mind, humanity has learned. And the Empire isn't prepared for clever, unpredictable humans." In the war room, Elias gathered his senior officers for a final briefing. "Today, we turned the tide, not completely, but enough to prove something important. Humans are not weak. Humans are not predictable. And humans will fight for every inch of space, for every life, for every colony. That is a message we must carry to the Empire." Mira looked at the holographic map of the galaxy, showing the positions of the retreating Imperial fleet. "Commander, they may return stronger, faster, more organized. But now we know them. We've seen their weaknesses, and we've exploited them. Next time, we'll be ready before they even strike." Elias's gaze shifted to the stars. "And when they return, they will find humans waiting, prepared, and unyielding. This is just the beginning. The Empire thinks it rules the galaxy. But they've underestimated one thing. He paused, letting his words sink in. Humans never give up. Humans never stop fighting. And humans are unpredictable. Meanwhile, Dr. Rivers analyzed data from the battle, his mind racing. If we continue like this, using precision strikes, exploiting weak points, and staying agile, we could turn every Imperial advance into a trap. The Empire may have numbers and firepower, but humans have strategy, ingenuity, and courage. In the colonies, families celebrated quietly, lighting small fires and gathering in community halls. Soldiers shared stories of daring maneuvers, of near misses and miraculous escapes. Though tired and scarred, humanity had earned a reason to hope, a reason to believe that even against impossible odds, they could survive and fight back. High above, in the observation deck of Terran Station Alpha, Elias turned to Mira and Kale. The Empire may have crossed into our space, ignoring warnings, testing us. But now they know humans are not to be trifled with. They've seen our strength and they will respect it, or they will pay the price. Mira nodded. And we've learned that we can face them, not just survive but fight back and win if we're smart. Elias took a deep breath, staring at the distant stars. The Empire will return. They always do. But so will we, stronger, wiser, and ready. They may have power, but we have something far greater: courage, cleverness, and the will to protect our own. Humanity will not kneel. Humanity will not surrender. And one day, the galaxy will know that humans are a force to be reckoned with. In the silence of the observation deck, the crew of Terran Station Alpha allowed themselves a moment of peace. Outside, the stars shone like distant fires, silent witnesses to humanity's courage. The battle was over for now. But the war had only begun. Elias finally turned away from the stars, addressing the crew. Get some rest. Repairs begin at dawn. But remember this: today we made a stand. And tomorrow, we will be ready for whatever the Empire throws at us next. And in the endless expanse of the galaxy, the message was clear. Humans were no longer the weak, timid species they once were. They were clever, courageous, and unpredictable. And the Galactic Empire would never forget it. Somewhere, far beyond human space, Imperial commanders regrouped. They had underestimated humans once. But the lessons of today would shape their next move. Yet humanity had already taken the first step toward turning the tide. And when the next battle came, humans would be ready. Stronger, smarter, and unyielding. The stars above flickered, indifferent to the struggle below. But humans were ready to carve their place among them. One victory, one clever strike, one daring move at a time. And the galaxy was about to learn a simple truth: humans never back down.